Hello everyone, tonight we are embarking on a journey through a story of raw survival and unyielding will. You probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. Comment below with your location and local time so we can all feel connected across the miles. Now turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise, and let's get started tonight. You step off the trail just as dusk settles over the red sandstone walls of the canyon. The air is warm, heavy with the scent of dust and desert scrub, and your headlamp beam slashes through the growing shadows. Each footfall echoes hollow and urgent, as if the canyon itself is listening to your every move. You think back to the guide's warning, watch your footing. The canyon floor shifts with every step. You shrug it off with a nervous laugh, brushing a bead of sweat from your forehead. Your boots crunch against loose gravel as you descend deeper. A sudden slip, your momentum carries you forward, and before you can react, your right arm jolts violently beneath a colossal boulder wedged between two canyon walls. Pain explodes in your shoulder, down your arm until every nerve is aflame. You gasp, throat tight, as your torch flickers and you find yourself pinned. The canyon floor, once a path, now feels like a prison. You reach up with your free hand, fingers scraping against the rock's jagged edge. Each movement sends waves of agony radiating through your chest. You cry out, voice hoarse, but the walls swallow the sound. No echo returns. The oppressive silence presses down heavier than the stone on your limb. For a moment, panic claws at your mind. You struggle muscles screaming, but the boulder does not budge. It sits there with cruel permanence. Your breath comes in ragged bursts. Dust coats your tongue. Heat from the canyon walls radiates onto your skin, and you taste salt. You force yourself to take a slow, steady breath. Inhale, count 1. Exhale, count 2. You focus on the rhythm, pressing your forehead against the cool stone beneath you. Thoughts of loved ones flutter through your mind, your sister's laughter, your best friend's steady gaze, all the moments that shaped you. You cling to those memories like lifelines. Every instinct screams to free yourself, but the rock laughs at your attempts. You scan the ground, wrenching your gaze around for anything that could help. The trekking pole strapped to your pack lies just inches out of reach. You waver between hope and desperation. Your heart thunders in your ears as sweat beads on your brow. You grit your teeth, determined not to let the canyon swallow you. You reach out again, fingertips brushing the pole's handle. You shift your weight, wincing, as fresh pain surges through your trapped arm. Slowly, painfully, you drag the pole within reach and yank at its wrist strap. It comes free, and you slide it under the boulder's lip. For a heartbeat, you think it might lift. Then the rock shifts a millimeter, the smallest triumph, but enough to ignite a spark of belief. You pause, chest heaving, and close your eyes. The canyon feels alive around you, as if it's waiting for your next move. You steady yourself. Your mind is clear you will fight. You will not let these walls define you. You inhale again, tasting grit and sweat. The lever is in place. Your muscles tense. You heave against the earth, every sinew straining. Pain flares like lightning, but you grit your teeth and hold firm. For a moment, time stretches. Then, with a grinding groan, the boulder shifts enough for your arm to slip free. You collapse backward onto the hard ground, gasping as blood pulses along your shoulder. You lie there for a moment, chest rising and falling as silence returns. The canyon walls seem to lean in, curious. You push yourself up on trembling legs, flex your fingers, and whisper, "I'm still here." You stumble as the beam of your headlamp catches a slick patch of sand that wasn't there a moment ago. Your heart flutters, adrenaline surging, and you twist your body to steady yourself, but the canyon floor betrays you. Gravel gives way beneath your foot, and you pitch forward, arms outstretched in blonde desperation. For an instant, the world seems to slow the hiss of falling dust, the jolt of impact, the crack of bone, the sharp intake of breath that tears through your chest like a blade. Your hands slap against rough stone, tumbling you headfirst into a yawning crevice barely wider than your frame. Instinctively, you try to roll out, but there's nowhere to go. Your right arm slams beneath a massive sandstone slab wedged between canyon walls. Pain explodes in a thunderclap that steals your breath and reverberates through every fiber of your being. You gasp, throat raw, as your free arm scrabbles for purchase on the jagged rock face. Gravel spalls off in your grip, cratered like meteor impacts, but the boulder above you is immovable, ancient, indifferent. The world above seems impossibly distant. Dust settles in your hair and nostrils as you press your face into the eroded stone floor. Every breath tastes like grit. You wrench your headlamp upward, trying to fend off the panic blooming in your chest, but the light only glints off the rock's rough surface. Shadows stretch like claws, and the canyon's walls press inward, imprisoning you. Your mind races. Why didn't I watch that step? Why didn't I heed the guide's warning? The initial shock numbs you. You wear the impact like a cloak, heavy, suffocating. A warm trickle seeps down your side and pools beneath you. Fear flares as you realize it's your own blood. Your vision blurs. Beads of sweat or tears or both slide down your temple. You try to call out, but the air fizzles past your lips in a whimper. The canyon floor is too deep, too narrow. Any cry vanishes before it can echo. The only sound is the pounding in your ears and the rasp of your own breathing. You force your free hand to move. It clenches into a fist, then rotates, searching for something, anything to lever against. You scrub upward fingertips, bleeding from snagging on sharp edges, and find a shallow groove in the canyon wall. For a heartbeat, you think you might hoist yourself free, but the boulder's weight pins your shoulder into the earth with merciless gravity. A low groan escapes you, a sound part pain, part defiance. You remember the trekking pole strapped to your pack and curse the distance. It's 6 inches to your left, tantalizingly close, yet maddeningly unreachable with your trapped arm. Your mind flickers between panic and resolve. You cannot stay here. The desert night will chill you. The canyon walls will absorb your heat, and without water or shelter, you know your odds are grim. You force yourself to breathe deep. Inhale, slow exhale. Inhale, Courage, exhale, terror. Pain pulses in time with your heartbeat. You grit your teeth, tasting copper on your tongue. You slide your backpack's waist strap free. With your good hand, unlatch the buckle and let the pack drop to the ground. The weightless motion sparks a cough as dust billows around you. You reach behind your back for the hydration bladder, but realize with a stab of disappointment that you locked the zipper on the main compartment. In your scramble, you had neglected this small precaution. Your mouth goes dry at the thought that your lifeline is locked just beyond your grasp. Every instinct screams to wriggle free, but the boulder is immovable. You test the rock face on either side, looking for enough give to slide your body out from beneath it. Your trapped arm trembles violently as you shift your torso. A fresh wave of agony rocks you, and you taste bile in the back of your throat. You stifle a cry, wrap your jaw tight, and let your mind detach from the pain. Observe it, catalog it, but do not indulge it. You run through options. Claw at the rock with bare fingers, futile. Shout until your voice cracks, useless. Build leverage, promising. You scan the canyon floor, picking out potential tools. A twig-sized branch lies nearby, probably fallen from the scrub above. You inch your free hand toward it and grasp it. It's brittle, likely to snap, but anything is better than nothing. You wedge it under the edge of the boulder and press down, feeling the wood splinter, but the slab only wobbles slightly. Not enough. You reposition the branch again, angling it more horizontally, then twist with all your might. The boulder grinds against the sandstone floor, a hairline shift the smallest victory, but enough to spur you onward. Gritting your teeth, you search for a second lever. Your kneecap presses into a pothole in the rock floor, serrated and unstable, but there's no other purchase. You tear at the ground with your good hand, dislodging pebbles and sand until you uncover a flat stone about the size of your palm. You pry it free and jam it beside the branch, creating a crude fulcrum. Dust floats in the lantern glow of your headlamp as you set the branch across the stone. Your quadriceps burn as you lift your body weight, bracing against the opposite wall. The branch creaks. The slab shifts again just a quarter inch. You freeze, heart hammering, praying the wood holds. But hope is a double-edged sword. The branch snaps under pressure, and the slab settles back with a dull thud. You yelp fury and pain mingling into a tortured laugh. You collapse onto your side chest, heaving fingers curled into the dirt. For a long stretch of time, you do nothing but breathe and curse and bleed. And then something inside you snaps, not like the branch, but in your mind. A flicker of clarity amidst the fog of pain. You recall a story you once read about a mountaineer who wedged multiple rocks together to move a boulder. You have rocks, you have branches, you have time. If you can endure, you force yourself to move again, wiping sweat and tears from your brow. You will fight. You will not become part of the canyon's silent history of lost hikers. You dig into the grit jaws, clenched eyes blazing with resolve. Your shoulder thumps against the stone, a grim reminder of what's at stake. You twist your torso to create a bit more room, then slide the flat handhold stone farther beneath the slab. You find a second twig and slot it next to the broken branch. The canyon air seems to hum in anticipation as you set the pieces, one lever, then another working in tandem. You brace your leg against the wall, arms shaking and press down. Wood grinds, stone shifts, and yes, a flicker of movement. Your breath catches. For a moment, nothing registers but the inertial groan of ancient sandstone on sandstone. Then the slab moves more enough that your elbow slips free. You gasp as cold night air brushes exposed flesh. You twist, snake your arm out, and collapse backward, cradling what remains of your gear and wondering how much of yourself you've lost to the canyon thus far. Your vision swims as shock crashes through you like a tidal wave. Every nerve ending in your arm screams betrayal pain, radiating up your torso and down your spine in thunderclap jolts. The canyon walls, once silent sentinels, now loom closer, oppressive in their stillness. You press your forehead against the rock floor, tasting grit and the copper tang of blood in your mouth. Each breath feels like inhaling embers. Your lungs burn as you struggle to draw air. A cold sweat beads on your brow despite the desert heat. You realize your body is in crisis. Adrenaline surges, then crashes. Your heartbeat thunders, then stutters. Your breath catches in ragged gasps. You close your eyes and force yourself to breathe slowly in through your nose, out through your mouth, counting each cycle. Inhale, 1 exhale, 2. You repeat it until the edges of panic blur into a dull, pulsing ache. You open your eyes and see darkness at the periphery of your headlamp beam. Your free hand trembles as you sweep the light across the jagged walls. Shadows stretch into sickle shapes, and you feel small, trapped in the canyon's iron grip. You call out again, but the canyon swallows your voice. No echo returns, only the muffled thrum of your pulse. Silence presses in on you, enveloping every thought. Fear coils in your chest like a living thing. You imagine the temperature dropping once the sun sets completely, how the nighttime chill will seep through your clothes and sap whatever strength you have left. Without water, your throat will parch. Without help, your body will surrender. In this moment, the canyon feels like an endless tomb 6 feet wide. Tears sting your eyes, but you refuse to cry. Instead, you steel yourself by replaying a mantra in your head. You are stronger than this. You will not give up. You press a hand to your chest and feel the rapid thump of life beneath your palm. Each beat is a reminder that you're alive, and that alive means you still have a chance. Your gaze drops to the spot where your arm is pinned. You inspect the jagged sandstone's grip on your flesh. Swelling has already begun. The skin around your shoulder is taut and flushed. You imagine what might be broken ribs, collarbone, arm, and a chill of dread slithers through you. Yet beneath the dread, a resolute ember flickers. Pain is temporary. Death is permanent. You will endure. A thought surfaces: isolation is as dangerous as injury. Alone here, your mind can work against you, conjuring nightmares of vultures and fading consciousness. You force your mind outward, cataloging details around you. The rough grain of the sandstone floor, the dull scent of creosote and desert wax, the way your headlamp's beam dances against tiny insects skittering across the walls. You focus on these small realities to anchor yourself. You shift your weight ever so slightly, flinching, as fresh agony radiates from your shoulder. The boulder grinds imperceptibly against the canyon floor. You lean your free side against the rock to relieve pressure. For a moment, your body relaxes, then tension snaps back as you realize how precarious your position is. One more shift and the slab might roll further down your arm or might grant a sliver of freedom. Your mind drifts to memories of laughter around a campfire and the comfort of a warm shower. You think of your sister's smile, the heavy embrace of your best friend, the way your dog wags its tail when you come home. Each memory brings a flash of warmth through the cold tunnel of fear. You allow yourself to linger on one memory, sitting lakeside at dawn, the mist rising off the water, bird calls echoing in the quiet. In that moment, you felt infinite possibility. Now you tap into that feeling again. You can survive. Your mind sharpens, edging away from panic into problem solving. You chart your resources in a mental list. One nearly empty water bladder, a half-crumbled energy bar, a small first aid kit with 2 antiseptic wipes and 1 roll of gauze, the trekking poles now serving as crude levers. You have 10 feet of rope, a headlamp with 50% battery, and a fully charged emergency beacon if only you can reach it. You reach for your pack again, sliding one trembling hand beneath your torso to snag the pack's shoulder strap. You tug it closer, heart pounding, as the movement shifts the boulder for a fraction of an inch. You freeze, listening to the scrape of stone against stone. The shift is enough to send a fresh spike of pain through your arm, but also enough to make you keenly aware that nothing about this is static. Even the canyon itself yields imperceptibly under pressure. Your breathing steadies. You glance at the far end of the canyon crevice. Through it, you see the stain of twilight sky. It reminds you that daylight isn't gone yet. You still have a sliver of warmth, a sliver of hope. You will use every second. You lift your free hand and gently press it against the canyon wall, memorizing every groove, every imperfection. When you escape, you'll remember this path, for now separation between mind and body is crucial. Pain exists, but it does not define you. You summon every ounce of mental fortitude you possess. This is survival. Isolation can be a crucible tempering the spirit. You whisper into the darkness, I'm not alone. I'm here, I'm fighting, and I refuse to surrender. A distant bird call echoes above, faint but unmistakable. You close your eyes, breathe in the desert night air, and let that sound remind you that life continues beyond the rock walls. You are part of that world, and you will rejoin it. You wake to the dull ache of your shoulder as the glow of your headlamp pulses against the canyon wall. Your free hand sweeps the ground, seeking any tool or fragment of rock that could help lever the slab higher. Dust motes swirl in the stale air as you push yourself into a crouch. Every movement sends fresh sparks of pain ricocheting through your trapped arm, but desperation is a sharper motivator than fear. Fingers curled into the coarse sandstone, you begin to pry at the boulder's edge. Your fingernails scrape against stubborn minerals, but the rock is ancient and unyielding. You dig deeper, seeking any tiny fissure where you might insert a tool. The canyon floor shifts under your weight. Gravel grinds beneath your knees. Sweat beads on your brow and trickles into your eyes. but you dare not wipe it away. You can't afford to lose even a moment, staring blindly into the dark. Your gaze darts to the trekking pole lying just out of reach. You extend your free arm, straining every muscle, and manage to hook the pole's wrist strap. With a grunt, you tug it closer, feeling the scrape of metal against rock. You grip it tightly and wedge its shaft beneath the boulder, angling it toward the point where the stone seems most vulnerable. You lever with all your might, but the pole bends slightly under the weight, then springs back. The boulder shifts only a fraction, sending a jolt of agony through your pinned shoulder. You grit your teeth against the sting, your breath hitches, and you pause for a moment, pressing your forehead to the canyon floor. The smell of dirt and sweat is pungent in your nostrils. You taste the metallic tang of blood when you force yourself to swallow. For an instant, your mind flirts with surrender, but then you remember the sky's last gleam of freedom, the call of that distant bird, the warmth that still lingers beyond these walls. You compose yourself, drawing a ragged breath. Inhale, 4, exhale, 4. Your hand tightens around the pole once more. You push downward, channeling every ounce of your core strength into the lever. The pole quivers under pressure. You hear the faintest shift, a scraping grind that sounds like stone on stone. Hope surges through you, sharp as the canyon's knife-edged walls. But the boulder barely moves, and the pole snaps with a whine of splintering wood. You fall back onto your haunches, chest heaving. A shard of splintered wood digs into your palm. You hiss and clutch at the wound, but blood quickly seeps between your fingers. You wipe the blood on your pant leg and scan for another tool. Scattered fragments of rock, too small, too slippery. A broken branch, too brittle. You trace your fingers along the canyon floor until they graze the coarse handle of your ice axe, buried under your fallen pack. Relief and dread mix in your chest. Relief that you have a sturdy tool. Dread that your hope now depends on a single implement. You crawl toward the pack, dragging your body with your unpinned arm, ignoring the protests of your muscles. You grasp the ice axe's haft and hold its pick against the boulder's underside. The metal tip bites into the stone's porous surface. You press your shoulder against the handle to steady the leverage and heave. The canyon seems to pause around you. Pebbles tumble from the boulder's edge like raindrops. Then the slab shifts, sliding upward just enough that your arm loosens slightly. A burst of triumph flares in your chest, and then agony as the stone grinds back into place with deliberate intent. You flick away a bead of sweat, taste dust, and steel yourself again. Time stretches. You set the axe aside, searching your pack for something to secure at the lever's pivot. You unspool a length of rope and wrap it around a flat stone you pried free earlier. You slot the rope-wrapped rock beneath the boulder's lip, fashioning a crude fulcrum. Your fingers tremble as you tie knots, but bite back a curse. At last, you slide the ice axe back into position, centering its shaft on the fulcrum. You kneel, press your face close to the slab, and brace your legs against the opposite wall. Then you pull with everything you have. Light from your headlamp leaps against the stone walls in staccato bursts. You grunt, chest flooded with adrenaline. The boulder groans, shifting just enough for the edges of your shirt sleeve to peek free, It's a tantalizing glimpse of possibility. But as soon as that fragment of fabric emerges, the rock settles back with bone-rattling finality. You sink to the ground, limbs trembling, and feel the weight of exhaustion pressing in. Your breath rasps. Your vision blurs at the edges. You close your eyes, fighting tears. There is only one path forward, relentless effort. You refuse to let this canyon crush you. You focus on micro goals, shift the rock a millimeter. Insert a wedge, build a better lever. You force yourself upward, jaw clenched, and begin again. Minutes or hours pass unnoticed as you cycle through attempt after attempt. Your tools grow battered. The ice axe's pick dulls against the sandstone. Your rope fibers fray. Your fingers nick and bleed. Every shift of the boulder drives waves of pain racing through your shoulder. Each micro victory, a slight rock tilt, sparks hope and reminds you that even the smallest change matters. Between efforts, you lie flat against the ground, panting. Heat radiates from the walls, sweat drips into your eyes, but you refuse to succumb to despair. You think of the canyon's silence, once foreboding, now your battleground. The same walls that trapped you also mark the only arena where you can fight. You whisper to yourself, "This is where I win." Loosened grit crunches beneath the slab each time you shift it. You begin to scrape away sand from the fulcrum point, widening the gap between heavy stone and canyon floor. You pack small pebbles under the rope-wrapped rock to raise it ever so slightly. You angle the ice axe more precisely, targeting weak seams in the boulder. You heave until your arms tremble uncontrollably, and then heave again. On one attempt, the boulder slides enough that your elbow pops free. You gasp adrenaline slamming into your veins. You wrench backward, twisting your body until your arm breaks free entirely. You fling yourself clear and roll onto your back, gritting your teeth against the radiating pain. You lie there for a moment, panting blood warming the stone beneath you. You flick your headlamp outward. The canyon walls recede. The oppressive close-in grip loosens. You press your hand to your shoulder, feeling swelling and bruising. You taste salt and grit on your lips, but you are free, at least for now. You close your eyes and let a shudder of relief roll through your body even as every muscle screams protest. You do not celebrate. You know this victory is only the first step. Water must be rationed, wounds, dressed help summoned. But in this narrow crevice of sandstone, you proved that persistence can unseat mountains. You lie on your back, shoulder free for the first time in what feels like an eternity. Your chest heaves breath-ragged as you stare up at the canyon's jagged ceiling. Dust drifts down like dying stars, settling on your hair and clothes. For a moment, you simply exist, caught between relief and shock. Then reality strikes with crushing weight. Your arm is mangled, dehydration looms, and every second in this crevice edges you closer to collapse. You force yourself to your feet, pressing your free hand against the canyon wall for balance. The stone presses cool and hard against your palm, a reminder that comfort is a luxury you can't afford. You scan the ground for your pack, half buried in dust. Each step pulses pain through your shoulder, but you grit your teeth and shuffle toward it. You drop to one knee and wrestle the pack free, unfastening the buckles with your good hand. You haven't yet dared open it, fear that seeing supplies will disappoint you. You flip the pack onto your lap and unzip the main compartment. Inside lies your survival kit, a 3/4 empty hydration bladder, 2 half-eaten granola bars, a compact first aid pouch, a small multi-tool, and a strobe light. Each item holds promise a lifeline you must manage with ruthless calculation. You empty the kit's contents onto the canyon floor, creating a haphazard inventory that glints in your headlamp's beam. First the water, you detach the bladder and squeeze and only a trickle emerges. You fill your palm and cup it to your lips, letting the cool water wash away grit and agony. You swallow in small gulps, cherishing each drop. Every swallow sparks a spark of hope, though you know this water won't last. You set the bladder aside and unscrew the cap, planning to ration what remains. Next, the food. The granola bars are half crumbs, their wrappers torn. You break one open, inhaling its faint aroma of oats and honey. Each bite feels like sustenance and sin. How dare you savor it? But you do, chewing slowly, letting the sugar and protein fuel your trembling limbs. You resist the urge to eat the entire bar at once. Instead, you break off a small chunk and tuck it into your jacket pocket. Then the first aid pouch you unpack, gauze, antiseptic wipes, adhesive strips, and a roll of medical tape. Your shoulder wound throbs beneath layers of dust and stone fragments. You press a wipe to the cut, wincing as it stings, and mop away dried blood before applying fresh gauze. The sterile pad soaks the trickle of fluid oozing from the ragged edge of your flesh. You wrap the gauze with care, tight enough to staunch bleeding, loose enough to allow circulation. The tape holds the dressing in place, but you know it won't last. You pack the rest of the wipes and tape back into the pouch. You inspect your arm in the headlamp's glow. It's bruised and swollen, the skin a bruised purple-black. The joint crackles when you flex, but bones feel intact. You breathe a shaky sigh of relief. No fracture, just a severe sprain and lacerations. You press your free hand against your cheek and let tears slip free. You refuse to sob, but the weight of pain, fear, and exhaustion spills out. You inhale sharply, steadying yourself. Tears are not weakness, they are fuel for resolve. You blink them away. Your gaze shifts to the multi-tool. You extend the pliers, scissors, and small saw blade all in one compact device. You think ahead if you must amputate to escape this tool, maybe your scalpel. You swallow hard at the thought, but for now it stays holstered. Your mind loops through scenarios, pain, bleeding, darkness, but also survival and rescue. You can not let fear paralyze you. Next item, the strobe light. You click it once, blinding white flashes pierce the darkness, bouncing off the sandstone walls. You imagine distant rescue teams or aerial searchers spotting the signal. But you also see how the strobe demands energy-draining precious battery life. You switch it off, decide to save it for daylight rescue efforts. You pack each item back into the pack with deliberate care, ready to carry just the essentials. You sling the pack over your good shoulder, its weight a small blessing compared to the boulder that once trapped you. You tighten the straps and test the fit. It feels secure. You take a moment to adjust the harness, threading the waist belt through its loop and clipping it firmly. Each click echoes in the silence, reassuring you of the small stability you still command. With supplies accounted for, your thoughts turn inward. Shelter, hydration. Warmth only the first check marks in the checklist of survival. You must preserve body heat as night deepens, but the canyon's walls trap both warmth and cold. At dawn, temperatures will spike, but humidity will plummet. Right now, the air feels cool against your bruised skin, a fleeting blessing. You shift your stance, pressing your wounded shoulder against the canyon wall. Pain radiates in dull thuds, tempered by your careful wrapping. You remember the mantra, pain is temporary, death is permanent. You whisper it to yourself, voice low and resolute. Each syllable cements your determination. You will endure no matter what comes. Your mind sketches a plan. First light, you'll signal for help, strobe whistle anything that can pierce the canyon's isolation. Then, using carefully placed leverage and packed pebbles, you'll widen the crevice enough to maneuver out. You have water for 12 hours, energy bars for 2 days. You need to staunch bleeding and maintain energy to reach a ridge overlooking the canyon rim where rescue might spot you more easily. You exhale, shoulders squared. You feel the weight of your body, the scarred rock beneath the pack strapped to your side. You taste grit and adrenaline mingling in your mouth. You lean your head back and close your eyes, surrendering for a moment to the canyon's echoing hush. Then you open them with renewed clarity. Your supplies are mapped. Your wounds dressed, your mind sharpened. This inventory isn't just a roll call, it's your contract with life. You rise to your feet once more. Your free hand finds the canyon wall. You test the ground, lighting a small snack wrapper on a dry twirl and letting the tiny ember flicker out. You focus on the next steps, broken into manageable increments. You will leave this crevice. You will stand on solid ground. You will live to see sunrise beyond these walls. And so, armed with rationed water, gauze-wrapped wounds, and unshakable resolve, you step away from the pack and face the challenge anew. You press your back against the canyon wall, letting its cool surface cradle your bruised shoulder. Dust floats in the beam of your headlamp, drifting down like a promise of release you can't yet reach. You crack open the hydration bladder and squeeze. A weak stream of water trickles into your cupped hand, but your throat feels like sandpaper. The first swallow stings more than it soothes. Your tongue swells against the roof of your mouth, craving moisture you don't have. You close your eyes and tilt your head back, tracing the canyon ceiling's rough contours in the dark. You remember the first time dehydration hit you years ago on a summer hike. Your mouth went bone dry, your lips cracked, and how you'd sworn you would never underestimate thirst again. Now that memory is a double-edged sword. You know the dangers, and you know no one is coming to save you. Not until you make yourself seen or heard. Not until you fight through this. Your free hand slides to your throat, fingertips brushing against parched skin. Each breath is a rasping rasp that echoes in your skull. You imagine every inhalation scraping moisture from your lungs. Sweat beads on your forehead, though the canyon night has already cooled. You lick your lips, but there's nothing to taste except grit and faint traces of antiseptic from your bandages. You rise unsteadily and cross the crevice to where the boulder once trapped you. Your shoulders tremble under the weight of your pack. You unzip the side pocket and retrieve the empty energy bar wrapper. You scratch at the dirt with your fingernail, catching flecks of dried paste. It's a useless, taunting mismatch of crumbs and dust that does nothing to quell your thirst or hunger, but you savor it all the same, pressing it against your tongue. Each granule dissolves into chalky paste, and you swallow, coating your throat in another thin layer of dryness. Your headlamp flickers low. You extend your free arm to check the battery indicator. Barely 20% remains. The strobe light is safely tucked away, waiting for dawn. But in this moment, you need simple illumination to move, to think, to survive. You tug the pack off your shoulder, searching for a spare battery. You find one taped under the flap of the main compartment, brittle from age. Your fingers fumble against the zipper, sticky with sweat and blood. You free the battery and install it. Light surges bake into your world. You exhale relief, folding through your chest. You scan your surroundings, jagged walls, pressing in your supplies neatly organized at your feet, and the sliver of twilight sky wedged between the canyon's mouths. You realize how far below the rim you've fallen. Rescue from above is unlikely until you make noise or until someone ventures down this hidden channel. Your thirst claws at your consciousness. You kneel and press your ear to the canyon floor, listening for drips of water or distant streams. There is only silence. Heat radiates upward from the rock, warm enough that even night feels relentless. You touch the sandstone. It holds the day's warmth like a memory of the sun. Your skin feels prickled by heat and sweat. Despite the cooling air, your core feels feverish, dehydrated, desperate. You recall that distant bird call from earlier. Now silence reigns. No wind rustles through canyon scrub. The only sound is the rasping of your breath and the whisper of dust as you shift your weight. You close your eyes and let the darkness press in for a moment, letting your mind drift. You see your sister's face smiling at you after a long day. You see your dog bounding toward you, ears flopping. You feel your mother's hands on your back as she wraps you in a towel after a swim, guiding you to comfort. Those memories bring tears, salted tears that spread across your lashes, mixing with dust. You blink and clear your mind, leaning back against the wall. Pain still radiates from your shoulder, but now thirst is a more urgent predator. You taste bile as you swallow, and vision skitters at the edges. You refuse to let delirium settle in. You grip the multi-tool in your palm, feeling its cold metal reassurance. You untether the small saw blade, imagine slicing through tough resin or bark, but there is no material here for carving. The canyon sands are too fine. The rock is too hard. You refold the tool and slip it back into its sleeve. Your instincts sharpen hallucinations may begin soon. You push aside the thought, no funny shadows dancing on the walls, no phantom figures beckoning you toward oblivion. You must anchor yourself to reality. You glance at your watch hours, since entrapment have stacked like worn textbooks. You calculate your water consumption. If you ration a sip every 10 minutes, you might stretch the bladder into the next day. But that's only if you survive the night. Your teeth grind as you swish the last drop of water in your mouth, and swallow clinging to its cold kiss. Your throat burns like a brand. You bundle the bladder back into its pouch, press it tight against your chest, feeling its empty shape. You tug at your jacket pocket and retrieve the remaining piece of granola bar. You break it into small crumbs, slipping them carefully into your mouth between tongue and cheek. Let it dissolve. Don't chew. Carve out tiny pauses for saliva to moisten the bits. Each crumb is both sustenance and curse, a reminder of life's fragility. You tap the headlamp twice, shifting its beam downward to reveal the trail of crumbs smeared across the floor. You follow them with your gaze until you reach the distant far end of the crevice. That spot holds promise. With enough daylight, you might climb, might attract rescuers, might rally your strength for one final push. You press your palm against the opposite wall and push your body inward until your back flares with pain. You inch forward, wincing until you can rest your shoulder on a jutting shelf of sandstone. You take advantage of the shelf's support, catching your breath. You count your pulses to steady your heart. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You whisper your mantra. Pain is temporary. Death is permanent. Each word anchors you. The vicinity darkens as night deepens. Your headlamp is now the sun in this tiny universe. You swivel it around, studying every nook for potential water, not a drop, not even a damp patch. Your throat clenches tighter. A flicker of movement catches your eye, an insect scuttling along the rock. A simple life form thriving in this arid prison. You watch it pause, antennae quivering. You envy its resilience, its small-scale survival, and then realization strikes. You too are that creature, tiny, insignificant, yet stubbornly alive. You draw a deep breath, tasting grit, resolve, and something like awe at your own will. With renewed purpose, you shoulder your pack and stand. You leverage your free arm against a sturdy outcrop, bracing yourself. Your wounded shoulder aches, swelling beneath layers of gauze, but it holds. You test the footing. Gravel shifts, but the ledge is firm. You step forward, each footfall echoing pain and determination. You will reach that far crevice entrance where hope glimmers. Night air hums with oppressive stillness. You force yourself onward, each movement measured, each breath a victory. Dehydration stalks you, but you hold it at bay, one rationed sip, one crumb at a time. Every inch forward is a statement you refuse to yield to this canyon's silent ancient power. You will emerge or you will perish trying. You pause on a narrow shelf of sandstone shoulder, pressed against the cool rock. Sweat trickles down your spine, despite the night chill, and your breath hitches in your throat. The canyon's hush presses in, and for a moment, you feel suspended between despair and clarity. You close your eyes and let your mind drift backwards, back to a kitchen lit by morning sun, where your sister hums as she pours coffee. You can almost hear the whir of the grinder, smell the earthy aroma mingling with sugar and cream. Her laughter threads through the memory, steady and warm, anchoring you. Tears sting your eyelids, but you refuse to give them free rein. Instead, you clutch the memory tight, the way her eyes crinkle at the corners, the way she ruffles your hair before handing you a cup. You feel her steady presence, as if she were leaning in this very crevice beside you, offering courage. You whisper her name, and the faint sound echoes back, pocked and hollow against the canyon walls. You open your eyes and draw in a deep breath. The stale desert air fills your lungs, and you taste grit on your tongue. You shift your gaze upward, tracing the canyon's rim silhouetted against fading starlight. No rescue yet, no distant flashlight beam or echoing voices. Yet you feel bolstered as if her laughter still rings in your ears. Your thoughts drift next to your best friend, the steady rock you've known since childhood. You remember late-night talks in his cluttered apartment walls, plastered with movie posters, where you confessed dreams of climbing peaks and exploring deserts. He'd nodded thoughtfully, then handed you a granola bar and said, "Whatever happens, you've got this." Those words, simple but laden with faith, pulse through you now. You press your free hand to your chest, feeling the multi-layered ache of grief and gratitude. You aren't just alone in a canyon. You carry the hopes and voices of everyone who believes in you. You refuse to let them down. Your mind flicks to your dog fur golden, like desert dusk paws padding across tile floors when you return from work. You can almost feel the warmth of his body curled at your feet, the rumble of his tail against the hardwood. You see his wagging tail chasing energy backlit by the front door's glow. You imagine his joyful bark when he spots you, how he nuzzles your hand for a treat. You swallow hard. The memory brings a lump to your throat. You owe it to him to survive. Each recollection fuels your resolve, rekindling embers of determination you thought had died. You stand taller on the ledge, though every muscle protests. You flex your uninjured arm and test the ledge's grip. Gravel shifts under your boot, but the shelf holds. You inch forward, mindful of your weight and the angle of your steps. One misstep could pitch you headfirst into deeper shadows. You steady yourself and whisper a litany of affirmations. I am capable. I am loved. I am not alone. With each phrase, you feel a pulse of warmth in your chest, as if the memories have become an internal hearth warding off the canyon's chill. Night deepens around you. The headlamp's halo is the only circle of light, and outside it, darkness reigns. You tilt your head back and study the constellation you memorized years ago, Orion's belt shimmering overhead. You recall trekking through mountain passes under similar skies, your breath freezing in the cold. Then you remember how you pressed onward despite numb toes and biting wind. You remind yourself that this canyon's terror is just another challenge to meet with grit. Your shoulder throbs, but the pain has receded into a dull pulse. You stripped away fear at the moment you claimed these memories. Now, with deliberate slowness, you reach into your jacket pocket and retrieve the crumbled wrapper of the remaining granola bar. You break off a pinch and pop it into your mouth. The oats dissolve on your tongue, and you swallow, feeling the crumbs slide down your throat like tiny talismans of sustenance. You tuck the wrapper back and trace the rope wrapped around your wrist, earlier proof that you can improvise, adapt, survive. You glance at the crevice's far entrance, where a faint hint of light glimmers. You resolve to reach it before dawn. You imagine emerging onto a sunlit ledge, squinting against the bright horizon free from these walls. Your memories fade gently as you focus on the next move, clearing loose gravel from your path. You sweep a handful aside and lay larger stones as stepping stones to stabilize your footing. The labor is slow, but each repositioned rock builds a safer route. You test the ledge ahead, leaning your weight onto it, and listen for any unsettling crunch. A small tremor of satisfaction thrills through you. This shelf is secure. Once you've prepared 3 paces, you step forward, one boot, then the other, careful to keep your balance, even as blood pounds in your ears. You pause again, pressing your palm to the rock eyes closed. You whisper one final remembrance, the echo of your sister's laughter, your friend's steady voice, your dog's welcome. You open your eyes and exhale, feeling the memories settle into your bones. You are rooted here, unstoppable. You will move forward. You will survive. You settle against the canyon wall for a moment, tasting the grit and determination on your tongue. The staccato drips of your headlamp bounce against the rock, illuminating a field of dust motes dancing in the dark. You press your uninjured hand against the coarse sandstone, drawing strength from its solid reassurance. Then, with a deep inhale, you stand and face the abandoned boulder that has defined your world for so long. Your mind returns to the fractured branch and flat stone you once wedged beneath the slab, but tonight you have clearer purpose. You unzip your pack and retrieve the length of climbing rope you stashed away. Its nylon fibers glint in the lamp's glow, coiled like a hopeful serpent. You let the rope unspool onto the canyon floor and run your fingers along its sheath, every fray, every hardened knot logging the story of your trek. You weave the rope through the trekking pole's wrist loop, knotting it with a double bowline to form a secure harness. Recalling lessons from a mountaineering course, you loop the rope around a projecting chunk of sandstone overhead, tying a figure-8 knot around the outcrop. Your chest tightens as you test the anchor, leaning your weight into the rope. It holds firm, the rock grain kissing the rope's fibers without yielding. A spark of triumph flashes in your chest. You retie the rope's free end around the pole's midpoint, creating a pivot point that looks deceptively simple, yet brims with potential. You kneel and push the pole's pick end beneath the boulder's lip rope taut between you and the outcrop. This lever system is more refined than your earlier attempts. It's a marriage of physics and desperation. You pull on the rope's anchor side, pressing your body weight into the loop. The pole vibrates under tension, stone fragments skittering down its shaft. The boulder grumbles a low subterranean moan that is almost welcoming. You hold your breath muscles quivering, and then the slab shifts. A fierce, burning jolt races through your shoulder, and you gasp. Pain knifes through your chest, but you don't relent. You yank harder. The boulder swans over the pivot, inching upward on one side, and tilting enough to loosen its grip on your arm wound. You spin the rope around the outcrop again. There is no slack to waste, and heave once more. The rock shifts a hair's breadth further, and you allow a triumphant whisper, almost there. Fatigue knits into your bones. Sweat cools on your brow, drawing tiny rivulets that cut through the dusty film. Your breathing rattles lungs hungry for oxygen. But you cannot stop now. You untie the rope to reposition your anchor, for a second pull. Your hands fumble with wet knots and torn rope ends, but you prevail. You retie at a slightly higher point, aiming for leverage against the boulder's fulcrum. You brace the trekking pole on the rope's new anchor seat, yourself low against the canyon floor, and push downward with all your strength. The canyon's silence breaks as stone on rock screeches a note of progress. The boulder rises another fraction, edging away from your flesh. You feel the space widen around your shoulder. The gauze-wrapped wound quivers like a wounded bird. You pause to honor the moment, pressing your palm to the sandstone in gratitude, then press forward again. You whisper the mantra you learned in that desert marathon training: endurance breeds strength. The words roll through your mind, coalescing into a shield against pain. You lean into the lever arm locked, and the boulder shudders, crackling loose granules. Your teeth clamp shut, tasting dust and sweat and the pure electric flavor of victory. With a final heaving pull, the boulder tilts enough for you to snake your arm free. You wrench backward, cradling the injured limb to your chest. It throbs fiercely, but it is free. You roll onto your back, gasping in the half-light. The headlamp's beam shudders across the wall, casting your shadow back at you, hunched, battered, yet defiant. You lie there, body shaking, mind spinning with relief and disbelief. The towering walls of the canyon seem to lean away, granting you space you've not known for so long. You taste copper in your mouth and the salt of dried blood on your lips, but you are no longer imprisoned. You are simply you aching, but alive. You drag yourself upright, planting your feet firmly on the canyon floor. Every shift sends pain balloons through your shoulder, but you grit your teeth and steady yourself. You press the rope into your pack. The torn fibers and dusty knots are testaments to your ingenuity. You tuck the trekking pole under your arm handle, splintered but serviceable. Your gaze drifts upward to where slivers of night sky remain visible. You feel the weight of time pushing against you. The night is far advanced, and the canyon will grow cold. Tomorrow's sun will scorch you. Tonight's chill will seep into your bones. You press your hand to the boulder you conquered, tracing its ridged surface in reverent awe. It is both your adversary and your teacher. You repel the rope from the outcrop, winding it with careful hands. No rope is wasted, no tool forgotten. You stash the rope back into your pack headlamp, lighting your methodical movements. Each gathered item tugs you closer to freedom. You shake out the abraded sleeve of your shirt, flinching as the wound pulls at the move, and retie the gauze with a fresh strip from your kit. You stand again, breathing deep, and survey the newly forged passage. The lever may never be needed again, but you carry its memory in your every heartbeat. You step toward the canyon's narrow exit, the floor sloping gently upward, promising a return to open air. Your boots crunch on dislodged gravel, an anthem of self-reliance. You pause at the threshold headlamp beam flickering between the tight walls. You take one final look at the boulder, at the rope frayed by knots at the pole, snapped in half, and reborn as a tool of liberation. You bow your head in silent thanks, then propelled by exhaustion and exhilaration, you move forward through the crevice, each step carrying you away from the imprisonment of stone and shadow. The canyon yields beneath your footfalls, and you emerge into a narrower slot rimmed by night sky. You touch the wall lightly, exhale a soft, ragged breath, and whisper, "I did it." As you stand in the open air once more, you feel the first thread of hope weaving into your exhaustion. You are battered, but you are unbroken. You press onward, stepping into the narrowing corridor of sandstone that you carved with sweat and grit. Each step feels like walking through molasses. Gravity seems to pull harder, and your legs burn as if aflame. The night air has cooled, but your body simmers beneath layers of adrenaline and exhaustion. Your headlamp flickers its battery draining, casting wavering shadows that dance like specters along the canyon walls. Time loses meaning. Minutes stretch into hours, but you can't tell which is which. Your watch's face is cracked and unreadable, the glass smeared with dust. You realize you have no sense of how long you've been trapped, how long you've fought. The canyon has become a living thing, its silent walls pressing and its dark passages winding like a labyrinth. Your body trembles with fatigue. Each breath is a labor, your lungs aching with every inhale. Your wounded shoulder throbs, sending stabbing bolts of pain through your torso. You want to collapse to let the canyon swallow you back into its bowels, but you force yourself to keep moving. You shift the pack's weight, feeling the emptiness of your water bladder at your back like a cruel reminder of how little you have left. Despair claws at your mind. You wonder if rescue will ever come. When daylight breaks, who will find you? A search party, another hiker. You're not even sure your beacon still works. Its LED blinks in erratic pulses, as tired as you are. Doubt unfurls in your chest. Maybe you shouldn't have tried. Maybe the canyon will claim your story. A sob threatens to break free, but you clamp your jaw shut. Tears sting your eyes, but you blink them away. You remember your mantra, pain is temporary, death is permanent, but the words echo empty in your fatigued mind. All you feel is the yawning abyss of hopelessness. The walls feel narrower, the ceiling lower, as if the canyon is breathing you in, squeezing the life from you. You stumble over a loose rock and nearly pitch forward. Your free hand slaps against the wall, and you steady yourself, breath hitching. You taste dust and blood on your lips. You pause, leaning your forehead against the cool stone, and close your eyes. Darkness behind your eyelids swirls with phantom shapes, a crowd of faces descending upon you, their mouths silent, their eyes empty. You jerk away, mind reeling. You force yourself to open your eyes, scouring the walls for any sign of solid ground. You spot a narrow ledge, a shelf of sandstone just above the canyon floor. You inch toward it and lift your foot, planting it carefully. Your legs shake violently, but the ledge holds. You shift your weight, bending your knees to manage the burn in your quadriceps. You exhale, voice rattling like gravel. You whisper into the hush, you will not win. The darkness doesn't answer. It merely absorbs your words. You feel smaller than ever, an ant lost in a desert of stone. Memories flicker unbidden, the laughter of children in a playground you once passed on your morning run. The comforting hum of traffic in the city, the simple joy of an ice cream cone on a hot summer day. You realize you miss mundane details, the squeak of a refrigerator door, the rustle of paper when you open a book, the weight of clean sheets at bedtime. You ache for normalcy, for the banality of ordinary life. Your mind drifts back to your outline of escape, to the rationed water and snacks, and to your sewn-up wound. But in this moment, all plans seem futile. The crevice extends before you, like a black maw indifferent to survival. You shift your pack and pull out the last scrap of granola, which you pop into your mouth. The taste is stale, sugary, fleeting. You chew mechanically, eyes unfocused. A low rumble echoes your stomach, growling its protest. You press your free hand over your abdomen and swallow. Hunger claws at you, but there is no reprieve. You have no more food. Fatigue folds your vision at the edges. You blink rapidly, trying to clear it. Your headlamp beam swims. You raise a shaking hand and grip the rocky wall, knuckles whitening. Your body trembles with exhaustion. A tear slips down your cheek. It tastes like salt and defeat. You close your eyes and let your head fall forward, chin dipping to your chest. You allow yourself one moment of surrender, heart pounding, breath shallow, body shaking. You feel weightless, floating in the canyon's void. Then, like a spark in the dark, a memory ignites the face of your sister when she looked at you with unwavering belief in your ability to overcome anything. You recall her voice. You are stronger than you know. The words echo soft but persistent. You blink, and suddenly the canyon walls feel less menacing. You straighten your spine and draw in a shaky breath. Your fingers leave the wall and press against your sternum 3 short beats of life. You force out a laugh, ragged and raw. "I am still here," you whisper. The words feel strange, foreign, as if for the first time you believe them. You take a cautious step forward, then another. The ledge and underfoot remains firm. You shuffle onward, each movement deliberate, each breath a small victory. The crushing weight of despair loosens its grip by degrees. You acknowledge the pain, the fear, the fatigue, but you refuse to let them be the end of your story. The canyon opens slightly ahead, a widening that promises more space. You can't see the sky yet, but there is a faint pale glow, perhaps moonlight filtering through a higher mouth of the canyon. You rise onto your toes and stretch your headlamp beam upward. The walls recede, and you taste hope on the wind. Your pace quickens, though your legs protest. You climb a small incline and reach a smooth patch of sandstone that rises toward a narrower opening above. You crouch, then push off with both feet, lifting yourself into the narrowing slot. You slide your body upward, shoulders scraping until you can peer beyond the crevice. A sliver of pale sky glows overhead, a promise of space and air. Your heart stutters. You plant your feet firmly on the sandstone, straighten, and rise. You hear your own ragged breath fill the quiet. You shake your head, brushing dust from your hair. You step forward and emerge into a dimly lit pocket, an alcove open to the stars. The air here carries a faint whisper of wind, carrying cooler scents. You inhale deeply, chest expanding. For the first time since you became trapped, you feel the weight of the canyon shift from your shoulders and disperse into the night air. You stand there for a moment, gaze lifted to the sky's pin-pricked tapestry, and allow a single tear to roll down your cheek. This one, not of fear or despair, but of release. You settle into the alcove's narrowing ledge, letting the cool night air wash over your sweat-slick skin. Your headlamp casts trembling shadows against the rough stone, and for a moment you simply breathe ribcage, rising and falling like slow tides. The ache in your shoulder is a constant drumbeat, but beneath it, something else stirs a spark of clarity born from exhaustion and perseverance. You realize that every failed lever, every snapped branch, every shift of grit under your hands has taught you something vital about the rock's secret architecture. You run your fingers along the canyon wall, tracing the grooves and cracks as if reading Braille. Somewhere in these ridges lies the weak point you've been seeking, the seam where the boulder yields just enough to free you fully. You remember a video your friend sent of a climber using parallel cams to split a stuck block, a technique you never thought would apply here. But here you are, armed with rope, a broken pole shaft, and a battered ice axe, ready to improvise cams of your own. Drawing in a steadying breath, you crawl back toward the fallen boulder that trapped you. You pause at its base, fingertips brushing its surface, feeling the residual warmth from your earlier efforts. The stone is unforgiving, each ridge and pore etched over millennia, but you sense the right angle where you can lever most effectively. You close your eyes and visualize the mechanics, two fulcrums in tandem, a pivot and anchor working together to amplify force. First, you knot a loop around the ice axe's head, forming a crude sling. You run the rope through it, then wedge the looped sling into a diagonal crack you discovered near the slab's lower edge. It fits snugly, an imperfect but serviceable cam. You pull the rope tight, testing the anchor. It holds with a satisfying scrape of fiber on stone. Relief flares in your chest, but you quell it quickly. There's work to be done. Next, you splice a short length of rope to the trekking pole's remaining shaft, fashioning a second sling. You slide it beneath the boulder's lip, where the slab meets the canyon floor. It wedges into a faint fissure, disappearing from view once you tug the free end taut. Two slings, two pivot points, a makeshift mechanical advantage that feels promising. Your mind floods with survival wisdom, learned from hikers and mountaineers alike. Always distribute force, never rely on a single anchor ratchet, tension gradually. You position yourself with knees braced against the canyon wall, back against the opposite face, and grasp the double set of ropes in both hands. The night is silent, but for your ragged breathing and the whisper of wind high above, you exhale, center your grip, and heave. The ropes sing against the cam slings. The slings bite into the stone's seams. Dust erupts from the boulder's underside like chalk clouds in a gym, and you feel the line tighten as the slab quivers. Pain flares in your shoulder, but your resolve hardens. You pull again harder until the boulder judders and shifts inch by inch. Above, the starlight glimmers through a narrow slit, and you imagine pulling yourself toward freedom as the rock relinquishes its hold. You pause with the rope-taut body trembling and let your mind race back through each step that brought you here. The frantic first prize, the snapped tools, the bitter frustration, the moments when you thought hope was gone. Now all that learning converges In this single triumphant shift, you lean into the pullback muscles burning. The double cams hold as the boulder tilts on its new axis. You whisper a quiet prayer of thankfulness for the memories that spurred you on, for the grit embedded in your hands, for the stubborn will that refused to break. The canyon seems to exhale around you as if acknowledging your mastery of its hidden geometry. With one final ragged heave, the slab rolls enough to free your injured shoulder entirely. You gasp as cold night air brushes tender flesh. You let the tension slip from your hands, ropes slackening, and drop to your knees. A triumphant laugh bursts from your chest, raw, childlike, and pure with relief. You press a palm to the freed crevice and trace the channel you carved from the first makeshift wedge to this final flawless pivot. The rock's surface is scuffed, its edges rounded by your desperate hands, but now it lies conquered. You lean back, tilting your headlamp upward to illuminate the sky itself, a narrow ribbon of darkness flecked with stars, a promise of infinite possibility. Your adrenaline drains, leaving you lightheaded but exultant. You press a hand to your chest and feel the steady pulse beneath your palm, a reminder that you are alive, that you did this. You draw in a deep breath, tasting grit and sweat and triumph, and allow yourself a moment of genuine wonder. You adapted your approach, you learned from every failure, and you succeeded against an immovable stone. You pack away the slings and ropes coiling each length with careful respect. Your tools, once battered and bent, are now emblems of victory. You re-secure your ice axe and trekking pole shaft, marveling at how their broken fragments became lifelines. You retape your gauze dressing, humming a low tune. Your sister used to sing, letting nostalgia mix with relief in your veins. As you stand, the canyon floor slopes upward toward a broader passage you haven't yet explored. The air here carries a faint chill, tinged with the scent of distant juniper. You step forward, every movement a celebration of newfound mobility. Pain pulses through your shoulder, but it's a badge of honor, now not a sentence. You pause at the mouth of the passage headlamp, beam dancing over smooth sandstone. The nighttime sky appears wider here, the starlight stronger. You touch the wall with reverent fingertips, close your eyes, and whisper, "Thank you." Not to rock, not to yourself, but to every shard of will that refused to surrender. Then, with purposeful determination, you move onward, step by steady step, leaving the boulder and the despair it represented behind you. You pause at the canyon's narrowing exit, torn between relief and a hollow dread. Your shoulder is free, but your right arm hangs limp at your side, throbbing with swelling and numbness. You scope the route ahead, a steep scramble up a slick face of sandstone that will demand full use of both limbs. Your heart sinks as you realize you cannot climb with an arm that doesn't work. You settle against the wall and remove your headlamp, peering down at your mangled limb. The spiral bandage hides raw flesh beneath, and every pulse sends a shock of pain racing through you. Your fingers twitch, but there's no real movement. Nerves have been severed by the boulder's weight, and circulation is tenuous. The gauze pad is saturated dark with blood you can not afford to lose. A cold knot of fear tightens in your stomach. This arm may never heal without immediate professional care. You weigh your options. Turn back. The route behind is treacherous and darkness deepens. You could wait for rescue, activate your emergency beacon, cling to this alcove, and hope someone finds you before dehydration or infection claims you. But the signal's battery is fading, and you doubt how quickly help will arrive in this remote maze of stone. Each passing hour without movement risks hypothermia, shock, or worse. Then there's the impossible choice: remove the damaged limb yourself. Amputation, no surgeon's hands, no anesthesia beyond adrenaline and tears, a crude blade, your own resolve. If you cut through now, you can lash a tourniquet above the wound, free yourself from the weight dragging you down, and climb out on 3 limbs. But the agony, your mind recoils at the thought of saw blade to bone, of blood pumping out of an artery you can't see. And even if you survive the cut, you face infection, permanent disability, life reshaped around missing flesh. You press your free hand to the rock and close your eyes. Memories flood in your sister's tearful embrace when you gave her your report card, your best friend's steady gaze as you promised to watch each other's backs, your dog's trusting eyes when you came home after a long day. All these moments pulse through you, fueling both terror and determination. You breathe slow, deliberate breaths. Inhale, hope. Exhale, fear. Your mind loops back to the boulder that once pinned you. You overcame it without surrendering flesh. Could you not do the same now? But this challenge is different. Your body itself is broken. The embers of survival flicker against the gale of reason. Flesh preserved means strength lost. Limb sacrificed means progress regained. You force your mind into cold calculation, blood loss time to climb infection risk, likelihood of rescue. Each variable is a razor's edge. Your gaze drifts to your multi-tool, its saw blade tucked away. One swift flick, and the serrated edge gleams in the headlamp's beam. You taste copper on your tongue and feel bile rise in your throat. You imagine the rasp of metal against bone, the spray of red life, the burning panic of arteries exposed. And yet beneath the horror, you sense steel hardening in your will. This will be the choice that keeps you alive. You wipe sweat and tears from your brow. You slick back your hair, unwilling to let emotion strip away your clarity. You whisper into the hush, I choose life. The words echo fractured and small, but they carry you forward. You retrieve the plastic whistle clipped to your pack and blow a single shrill note, alerting the night and yourself that you're still here, still fighting. No answer comes, only the canyon's patient silence. With hands that tremble, like newborn fawns, you prepare. You tie a tourniquet high on your arm, your belt strap cinched tight in a noose above the shoulder. Your breathing hitches as you feel the pressure cut off circulation. You flex your free hand and watch the swelling below the tourniquet rise, the flesh turning pallid. There is no turning back. You set the multi-tool's saw blade against your flesh just below the tourniquet. The metal tooth catches on your skin, and you grit your teeth against a scream. You repel the blade back and forth, each stroke biting deeper into tissue. Pain erupts in volcanic waves. Your vision blurs at the edges. But you steady the blade with your free hand, guiding it through sinew. A bead of sweat drips into your eye, and you grit your teeth through the white-hot agony. Minutes, or is it hours, pass in a haze of pain and resolve. The saw cuts through muscle and tendon, each friction burn a testament to your will. You taste metal and grit on your tongue, and the hiss of blood against bandage echoes in your ears. You press your jaw against a fist, trying to bite through fear. Then at last the saw scrapes against bone. You inhale sharply, summon strength from somewhere deeper than will, and twist the tool through the final fibers. A wet crack shakes the canyon walls as the bone severs. Agony spikes in unthinkable heights. You cry out, voice raw, but your knees stay locked. You press your free hand to the canyon floor, anchoring yourself, refusing to lose your center. Blood wells against the tourniquet, but it holds. You pant, sweat mixing with tears, and realize you have done it. You have chosen life. Your amputated arm lies beside you, baked and raw. You close your eyes and let a single tear trail down your cheek, not of regret, but of triumph. You taste iron and grit, and your chest rises and falls in ragged breaths. The pain still rages, but it is overshadowed by the stubborn spark inside you. You rise to your feet, now three-limbed but unbroken. You flex your remaining arm, feeling its power. You grasp the ice axe and trekking pole, jabbing the pick into fissures for purchase. The canyon's walls bow outward to let you pass. Each step is agony and victory intertwined. Your headlamp illuminates the route ahead, still steep, still treacherous, but now traversable. You whisper your mantra once more. Pain is temporary. Death is permanent. The words sting in your throat, but they fuel your legs. You lift your mangled shoulder against the wall and brace yourself. You step forward, three limbs pushing one, absent but not gone. Ahead the canyon bends toward a wider shaft of open sky. You pour every ounce of energy into each stride. The wind, cool, free brushes against your face. You taste hope on the breeze. And so, with the weight of sacrifice and the promise of life in your heart, you push onward, climbing toward rescue and beyond. You gasp as your three-armed climb finally delivers you into a narrow shaft of twilight air. The canyon's walls recede, and golden dusk spills in, painting the stone with warmth you haven't felt since you first stepped off the trail. Your free arm trembles uncontrollably, and in every muscle screams, but you press onward. You taste salt and iron on your lips, feel grit in your teeth, and know that this light is your baptism back into life. You lower yourself onto your knees, letting the cool, angled floor of the alcove cradle your battered body. Your headlamp's beam dances against the walls and then slumps as its batteries flicker. You tuck it away, letting natural light guide you. The heat of the day has faded, but the rock still holds its residual warmth, pressing gentle comfort against your wounded shoulder. You flex your remaining arm and shoulder, marveling at their capacity to bear your weight after all they've endured. Your vision swims with relief and disbelief. You press a hand to the canyon floor and trace the path you carved, scraped surfaces, scuffed edges, evidence of every desperate lever and cam you set. The boulder that once imprisoned you now lies kilometers or feels like lifetimes behind. You press your palm to the stone in silent thanks for surviving its grip, then push yourself forward. Each forward inch feels borrowed from an unseen reserve. You crawl through the slot dust, swirling around your knees and palms. The canyon's narrowing opening frames a sliver of open sky smeared pink and violet by the setting sun. You lift your face toward it, arms trembling, and let your mouth hang open to drink in that sight. You breathe deep, the clean scent of distant sagebrush, the faint whisper of wind brushing over higher ridges, the promise of rescue. You pull yourself upright on a small ledge, pressing your back against the sandstone. You survey your surroundings, a tight corridor that slopes upward toward a wider bench above. Somewhere there's a route back to the rim, back to the world of people and warmth and life. You test your footing, shifting your weight onto your legs. Pain flares, but you grit your teeth and flex. The canyon floor is uneven, but you find purchase with your remaining arm and good leg. You push upward. The slope steepens, and you brace the rock with your ice axe, pick its handle, still warm from your grip. You drive the pick into a fissure and pull, hoisting your body. Your chest heaves with the effort, and you taste grit on your tongue. Each movement is agony, but each movement is freedom. You press a finger to the skin above your tourniquet, feeling both stiffness and life, a fragile, stubborn pulse that refuses to break. As you climb, the sky widens above. Colors deepen, bruised purples, ember reds, the first shy stars blinking awake. The canyon's hush is occasional, broken by the far-off cry of a raven. You pause and let the sound fill you, proof that you're not alone, that the world continues beyond these walls. You raise a hand in thanks to that bird's call before continuing upward. Your leg muscles burn, and your back protests the weight of your pack. You rest for a moment on a narrow ledge, leaning against the rock, and gaze at the ribbon of sky overhead. You close your eyes and let a single tear slip free, not of fear but of awe. You survived the impossible. Your breathing steadies as you whisper, "I am free." With resolve, you haul yourself upright and push on. The corridor opens onto a small bench dotted with desert grasses and scrub that somehow found a foothold here. You pause to touch the plants, their delicate leaves a testament to life's persistence. You close your eyes against the wind's whisper and let gratitude wash through you like relief. You survey the final rise ahead, a short scramble up a slab of tilted rock, polished smooth by centuries of water. You step onto its base plant, your ice axe pick, and dig your fingers into drained sediment at the crack's edge. You heave, shifting your center of gravity, and edge your way up. The sun's last rays warm your face as you seat yourself on the canyon rim at last. You sit there, legs dangling over the precipice, and gaze down at the labyrinth of stone you escaped. The world below is swallowed in dusk. Only the silhouettes of canyon walls remain. You press a hand to your chest and feel the steady thump of life. You close your eyes and breathe deep, cold air filling your lungs, life pulsing in your veins. You whisper into the open air voice, rough but joyous, "I did it." You let the words echo off distant cliffs carried on the wind. You lean back against the rim, letting your body rest for the first time since you plunged into that crevice. Pain radiates through your shoulder and stump but it is nothing compared to the relief of open sky overhead. You know rescue will come. You will signal at first light, but you aren't afraid anymore. The canyon is behind you now. Ahead stretches a world of warmth, companionship, and healing. You lift your remaining arm and brush the wind across your cheek, welcoming the world's embrace. For a moment, you simply sit alive, free, and humbled by what you endured. Then, as stars begin to ignite overhead, you push yourself upright, clench your jaw against the ache, and stand. You take a final deep breath and step away from the edge, carrying the canyon's lesson. In every heartbeat, adversity can bind you, but your will can unbind even the heaviest chains. You turn toward the trail leading away from the rim, its course etched into the dusk by the fading light. Each step is heavy, but certain. With every footfall, you leave the darkness behind, moving toward rescue, toward home, toward life. Your steps along the rim's dusty trail are unsteady, each footfall an echo of the canyon's silent roar in your mind. The sky overhead is a deep indigo sprinkled with starlight that seems almost too gentle after the canyon's brutal confines. You pause at a rise overlooking a narrow ravine where your headlamp's strobe source of hope rests in your pack saved for dawn. The temperature has dropped sharply and your breath clouds before you. You draw your jacket tighter even though your tourniquet-bound stump throbs, and you realize the night air carries a chill that could steal your hard-won warmth. You lean on your ice axe for support, scanning the horizon for signs of movement. In the distance, far down the opposite canyon wall, you detect a blinking light, faint, rhythmic, and unmistakably human. Relief surges through you like wildfire. You lift the strobe from your pack, click it on, and plant it on a flat rock. The white flashes ignite against the canyon walls, painting them in staccato bursts of brilliance. You step back, chest pounding, and wind yourself toward the signal, eager to be seen. Moments stretch into breathless seconds. Then a distant shout echoes, distorted by distance, but unmistakable. Over here, you whistle sharply on your plastic whistle and wave both hands. The echo returns. Hold on, we're coming. You drop to your knees, tears sparking in your eyes, tears of exhaustion, of gratitude, of sheer relief that your fight has not gone unnoticed. Your vision swims as voices grow louder and closer. You hear the crackle of a radio team alpha to base camp. We've got a visual. Injured hiker on rim. Send medics. You exhale, a load lifting from your chest. Rescue. The word tastes like fresh water in your mouth. You clutch the ice axe knuckles white and stagger down the trail toward the approaching voices. A search and rescue team rounds the corner, 3 figures in bright orange jackets, helmets tipped with headlamps, each carrying medical packs. Their leader, a woman with a calm, steady gaze, strides forward. "You okay?" she calls, voice firm but kind. You swallow, voice raspy, and manage, I'm alive. They move swiftly to your side. One medic kneels to examine your stump, peeling back the tourniquet and gauze. You flinch as the cold night air stings your wounded flesh, but you grit your teeth and hold still. The medic murmurs, "We're going to dress this properly. You did well." Her words are a balm. They wrap your stump in sterile gauze, then secure it with a field dressing. Another rescuer fits you with a lightweight harness attached to a rope anchored to the ridge. The leader calls will lower you to the helicopter landing zone. You nod, heart racing at the thought of flight, of warmth, of medical care. They guide you to the edge of a plateau where a searchlight already trains on a makeshift landing area. The rotor wash from the helicopter stirs dust and scrub at your feet. You clutch the rope sling, breath catching as the aircraft's engines thunder. You've never felt so small and yet so enormous with relief. They load you into a rescue basket snug against the cool metal sides. You can't sit without pain, but the harness supports you. The basket lifts creaking, and you feel the tug on your harness as you hover above the canyon rim. Below you, the labyrinth you conquered is bathed in the helicopter's spotlight, every twist and turn a testament to your survival. You look down and imagine the canyon walls bowing in respect. The helicopter banks sharply, and you peer through the mesh, the canyon's cold night giving way to the glow of floodlights at base camp. Your rescuers cradle you, voices calm, instructing you to hold still. The wind whips your hair, and you taste cold metal and sweat on your lips. It feels unreal one moment. You are alone in stone hell. The next, you're lifted toward warmth and safety. You're carried to the medical tent, where flashing beacons and hasty footsteps form a choreography of urgency. A paramedic greets you with a focused smile and guides you onto a stretcher. They wheel you inside, and the interior floods with light. You squint as gentle hands clip monitoring wires to your wrist and ankle. The hum of machinery and the murmur of voices blur around you. A doctor kneels beside you. "You're going to be okay," he says, voice soothing. He examines your stump, then looks at your shoulder. You've got a nasty laceration there, but nothing broken. "We'll get you packed out of here soon." You nod, gratitude swelling behind your ribs. You close your eyes, letting exhaustion finally crash over you in waves. Your mind drifts as they administer intravenous fluids and antibiotics. You are dimly aware of warmth seeping into your veins of painkillers, dissolving the sharp edges of agony into a dull throb. You feel a cool cloth at your forehead and a medic's gentle hand smoothing your hair back. The world rotates softly beneath you as you drift in and out of consciousness. When you awaken, dawn's pale light filters through the tent's opening. The canyon's towering walls are just visible beyond the canvas, a silent audience to your ordeal. You try to sit up, and a nurse gently pushes you back. "Take it easy," she says. Your body protests, but the pain is manageable now, cradled by medication. You study the scene, medics packing equipment, a stretcher waiting to take you to the ambulance, a helicopter's fading silhouette against the sky. You whisper, "Thank you, though, to whom you aren't sure. The doctor, the medics, the canyon itself." A medic offers you a warm blanket, and you wrap it around your shoulders, the fabric soft against your skin. You feel both fragile and unbreakable. You turn your head and see the strobe light still blinking on the nearby rock, your beacon of hope, now a silent testament to the life you fought to save. You let your mind wander through the past hours, the initial slip, the boulder's crushing weight, the agony of self-amputation, the climb to the rim, the strobe's flashing beacon. Each memory is a scar etched into your spirit, each a reminder of the will that carried you through. Slowly, you allow gratitude to wash through you for every rescuer who answered your signal, for every drop of water you rationed, for every bead of sweat poured into the canyon floor. Outside, the tent voices carry in the thin mountain air. You think of your sister today. She'll get the call that you're alive. You'll hear her voice tremulous with emotion, and you'll hold on to that sound like the most precious lifeline. And your best friend, you can almost hear his steady, "I told you so," laced with relief. You'll feel the weight of their love and know that you are not just a survivor. You are someone deeply cherished. You close your eyes again, exhaustion reclaiming you. Yet beneath it all, a steady ember burns a spark of awe at the life you fought to preserve. You murmur to the quiet tent, "I'm coming home," and drift into a dream of open skies, soft beds, and warm embraces. I'll sit on the canyon rim as dawn's first light bleeds into the sky and a soft hush settles over the world you fought so hard to rejoin. Your three-limbed silhouette casts a long shadow across the rocky ledge, a testament to sacrifice and unyielding will. You close your eyes and let the warmth of the rising sun wash over you, seeping into bruised muscles and weary bones. A gentle breeze stirs, carrying the scent of sage and resin-laden pine from distant ridges. You inhale deeply, letting that fresh air fill every hollow in your lungs. Each breath is a victory proof that you exhaled darkness and inhaled hope. Pain pulses through your stump and your shoulder, but beneath it all is a steady thrum of gratitude, beating like a hearth's ember beneath the ash. You think of your sister's voice, trembling with relief when she learns you're safe. You feel your dog's eager nuzzle at your feet, tail thrashing in boundless joy. You recall your best friend's steady grin and his "I knew you could do it." Their faces fill your mind's eye, cradling your heart in warmth. In that circle of memory, you draw strength anew. Your gaze drifts over the canyon's labyrinth below. The walls glow in pastel pinks and golds, alive with the sun's embrace. You marvel that mere hours ago you were trapped in darkness, wrenched between despair and resolve. You realize that every grain of sand you crawled across, every snapped branch and frayed rope, every pulse of agony, all of it forged you into someone new, someone tempered by trial, refined by courage. A single raven wheels overhead, its cry echoing against the cliffs. You lift your head and watch it soar, feathers glinting in sunrise. In that flight, you see freedom embodied. You whisper to the canyon, "Thank you not merely for its cruelty, but for teaching you the depth of your own spirit." You flex your remaining arm and stump, marveling at their stubborn life. The stump thumps weakly, a reminder that you gave flesh so you could reclaim your life. You touch the gauze wrap with gratitude, each layer a witness to your choice to live. You press a hand to your heart and feel its steady pulse, grateful for each beat. Memories and gratitude swirl together, the laughter shared around campfires, the quiet comfort of home's routine, the embrace of friends who never stopped believing in you. You vow to carry those gifts forward, to live fully for every person who stood by you in thought, if not in presence. You rise to your feet, staggering at first, then finding balance. The trail ahead winds gently along the rim, promising return to warmth, care, and community. You take a step, then another, each footfall, a pledge to honor the second chance you've earned to cherish life's fragile beauty, to remain forever grateful for the breath in your lungs. Before you go, you pause to leave a mark. You scrape 3 shallow grooves into the canyon's rim with your ice axe, one for the pain endured, one for the life reclaimed, one for the love that carried you here. You take a last lingering look at the labyrinth below, then turn toward the path home, your heart full of awe and thanksgiving. You trace the worn trail away from the canyon rim, each step echoing with the canyon's whispered memory, and feel the world shift beneath your boots. The morning sun climbs higher, bathing the rocky outcrops in honeyed light that makes every crevice and grain of stone glow. With your ice axe slung over your shoulder and your 3-limbed gait steadying you, move past juniper clusters and resilient desert grasses that cling to life in this unforgiving land. Your mind drifts to the moment you first heard the helicopter's roar, the promise of warmth, care, and connection. You remember how relief coursed through you like cold water, how the rescuers' voices sounded like music after days of silence. Yet as you descend the rim slope, you realize that the canyon's teaching remains with you. Adversity shapes you, but does not define you. The scar on your stump pulses with every step, reminding you of the cost of survival and the price of hope. A gentle breeze carries the scent of pine resin from a distant ridge, weaving memories of home and hearth into your thoughts. You think of your sister's tears as she held the phone, hearing your voice crack with emotion. You think of your best friend pacing the emergency ward, anxiety etched on his face until you opened your eyes. You think of your dog greeting you with frantic barks and wet whiskers foolhardy with joy. Each image anchors you to love and purpose, guiding your path like a compass. You pause on a low bluff overlooking the canyon labyrinth and study the expanse you conquered. Sunlight plays over ridges and shadowed crevices, transforming the silent walls into a tapestry of gold and rust. You bow your head in reverent awe, acknowledging the canyon's dual nature, prison and crucible, adversary and mentor. You whisper a soft vow you will honor its lessons by living with unshakable gratitude, by cherishing every heartbeat and every shared moment. Pulling your jacket tighter around your shoulders, you resume the descent toward the ranger station waiting below. Each footfall is measured mindful, as if you're gifting your 3-limbed form a new rhythm of motion, one of resilience rather than merely survival. You recall the staccato grind of stone when you first wedged your pole and rope beneath the boulder. You recall the savage clarity that drove you to sever your own limb. You recall the crawling path to the alcove, the first taste of starlight after days underground. Those memories surge through you, not as trauma, but as evidence of the human spirit's extraordinary reach. Reaching a narrow creek bed, once dry, now trickling with melted snow from a hidden spring, you cup your hands in its cool flow. The water tastes of earth and promise. You let it sluice over your lips and face, washing away the grit of fear and replacing it with the pure elation of living. You fill your hydration bladder, savoring each gulp. You stroke the water's surface, grateful for the canyon's hidden gift. You shoulder the pack once more, feeling its reassuring weight. Not a burden, but a testament to the journey you endured. You climb the final rise, and at last you see the ranger station's peaked roof framed by juniper limbs. A figure steps from the doorway, a park ranger whose concerned face brightens at the sight of you. He hurries down the slope, voice urgent with relief. "You made it. You really made it," you nod, voice thick with emotion. You step forward until his arms close around you in a careful embrace, and you lean into the warmth of human touch. You feel the pulse in your chest, strong and unwavering, and in that moment you know you have truly returned, not just from the canyon's embrace, but from the edge of your own limits. You pull back and meet his eyes. "Thank you," you whisper, the words brimming with gratitude that words alone cannot hold. He gently guides you toward the station where warmth, care, and companionship await. Slowly the dust of the canyon settles behind you as you carry its lessons into the light of day. In the hush between past terror and new dawn, you sense how profoundly you've changed. No longer merely the person who slipped and tumbled beneath a savage boulder, you stand renewed, tempered by adversity and emboldened by will. Gratitude blossoms in your chest like a cautious flower, grateful for every drop of water you rationed, every memory you called upon, every inch you wrestled free. In the quiet cadence of your pulse, you feel the echo of your sister's laughter, the steady conviction of your friend's faith, and the fearless joy of your dog's greeting. Those voices, once distant comforts, now form the chorus of your survival song. You carry them with you as talismans against despair, reminding you that life's greatest victories often arise from its darkest trials. Your body bears the canyon's scars, an amputated limb, a shoulder wrapped in healing, but those marks are not symbols of loss. They are emblems of choice, the agonizing choice you made to sever what bound you in order to reclaim all that mattered. Each scar reminds you that living fully sometimes demands sacrifice, and that courage is not the absence of fear, but the resolve to act despite it. As you step into warmth and care, you vow to honor the canyon's dual gift, the memory of its brutality and the testament of your resolve. You will greet each sunrise with reverence, mindful that every breath is a wonder won. You will gather your loved ones close, sharing stories of hardship, not to relive pain, but to celebrate the bonds that rendered your survival possible. And when night falls and the wind whispers through the trees, you will remember the canyon's silent walls and the moment you emerged into starlit freedom. You will carry its lesson like fire in your veins, that human spirit can unbind even the heaviest chains. In that unwavering ember of resilience, you find not only the will to survive, but the promise to live boldly, gratefully, and unafraid.